I'm actually really late with this review, partially because I was getting ready for C2E2 during that time, and two, forgot this movie came out. But that's all over with now, so let's dive right into this review. Based on the 1989 graphic novel Gotham by Gaslight, as well as the sequel Master of the Future, taking elements from both stories and creating something new. Which is how it should be with these animated movies, keeps comic readers like myself from predicting what's going to happen in the end. With the premise of the movie still being taken from the original graphic novel of it being Batman vs. Jack the Ripper. So finally, after all these years, that mystery will finally be solved and put to rest, thanks to Batman. But to get back on track, Jack the Ripper has now moved to Gotham. After terrorizing the citizens of London, he is now targeting the promiscuous women of Gotham City. And one of the themes going on here is that since only poor women have been murdered, the police aren't trying very hard to help them out and catch Jack the Ripper. While Commissioner James Gordon says otherwise, you can't help but feel that he's not exactly telling the truth. And obviously, if this case was to happen in modern times, Batman would have no trouble whatsoever finding out the culprit's identity as well as stopping him. But this is Victorian era Gotham, and the type of technology Batman has access to is very limited. Which I liked a lot because in this film, another trait of Batman that seems to have been forgotten amongst the tech, martial arts, and Batgut status is that he is a great detective. And I think that the comic and movie capture that aspect of him very well. They show Bruce deciphering messages, using his intuition, as well as developing new techniques to help him solve this case. Not as great as the comic, since in the comics it showed Bruce recalling back to techniques that he learned, as well as studying case files for days, hoping to find that loose thread that unravels the whole case. But the movie did enough to get the point across. The graphic novel is really short, only 52 pages, and even with that, it seemed to be just a sample of what Batman in the 19th century would be like. So translating it into an animated movie, changes had to be made. Such as including a gallery of Batman characters, because in the comic, there was really only one real suspect. While the movie adds villains like Two-Face and Hugo Strange to throw you off the trail, but also a few nice Easter eggs as well. The art styles between both mediums are also vastly different. While the movie is a bit stylized to fit the Victorian era, it's not as rough or expressive as Mike Mignola's of Hellboy's fame art. I believe that's why I enjoy the comic a little bit more. It captured the darkness of those days, and I don't mean that in a philosophical way. I mean it quite literally. It was dark because there was no electricity whatsoever. And have you seen how bright gas lamps are? The LED light on my computer when it goes to sleep is much brighter than a gas lamp. And the scenes in the movie are pretty bright, and while there is a fog-like effect, I feel like that is not enough to capture that dark look from the comics. Or even for Gotham as well. I don't think it would ever be that brightly lit. Now say if they use the same backgrounds or shading techniques from the animated series. I think that would have worked a lot better and really made for a terrifying look and capture the look of that time period perfectly. Not to take anything away from the animation team who worked on this, it's just much more of a preference for myself. And the fight sequences were superb. You could almost feel the weight of each punch that was thrown, and the moonlight fight sequence, beautiful. As I said before, because this movie took elements from both Gaslight stories, there is a ton that isn't included, such as Bruce's uncle, a reference to the Joker, and as well as from the sequel story, Master of the Future, the villain Alexander Leroy was cut out. But hey, at least his blimp made it. I personally would have loved to see Alexander Leroy included, but if it came down to who should be the villain for this film, between Jack the Ripper and Alexander, obviously it should be Jack the Ripper. Well, it was very much Batman versus Jack the Ripper. It was much more of a brawl, with Jack able to match Batman blow for blow, which to me seemed out of character for Jack the Ripper. Not that I ever knew him, but from what I read on him, he came across as a cunning schemer, and would preferably have had a battle of the minds with Batman, instead of trying to beat each other to a pulp. And I get the source material was very limiting, but they had the opportunity to expand on the mythos of Jack the Ripper, and I feel their attempt fell flat. Especially because in the murder mysteries, the who needs to be very satisfying, and this movie didn't deliver on that. And while I do respect the twist, my one complaint from this movie is the reveal of who Jack the Ripper is. And they throw a few red herrings your way to keep you guessing, and I won't lie, I feel a bit ashamed I didn't figure it out sooner. So if you don't want to get spoiled, I suggest you go ahead and skip to 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay, last warning folks, it's not too late to turn back now. Alright then. While I applaud the writer's effort on this twist of making James Gordon the Ripper, his whole motivation was bleh. It was really weak. He sounded more like the crazy Bible people talking about sin in the corner of the street, saying all women are sinners. Ain't that the truth? And that he's gonna clean Gotham of their filth. While he was a threat and even able to go toe-to-toe with Batman in combat, it was his motives that killed it for me. Especially when you compare it to the comics, where Jacob Packer, Bruce's uncle, is Jack the Ripper, and also the one responsible for setting up the deaths of his parents. But what made that reveal so much more impactful though is Jacob's reasons for becoming Jack the Ripper. And it's because Martha is mocking him, even laughing at him because he is a feeble man and she rejected him. And Martha laughs rings loud in his head, and it's only the killing that can drown it out. I mean, that's pretty messed up. It's always the supposed nice guys that turn out to be crazy, murderous killers. Harsh. But to draw this to a close, I give Batman Gotham by Gaslight a 7 out of 10. I feel like they missed the emotional impact of Jack the Ripper, and while the astounding twist was refreshing, the motives for Jack the Rippers weren't on par with the comic. As well as Jack the Ripper's portrayal in this movie, while it's unique, it's not what I expected it to be. That's my review of Batman Gotham by Gaslight. Do you guys agree or disagree? And if you haven't checked out the comics, please do. It's a superb read. As always, hope you guys are all doing well. This is Geek Knight, signing off.